Hey everybody, it's GoblinX, and welcome back to another Premier Draft of Duskmourn, House of Horror. Without further ado, we're going to slam dunk our pack 1, pick 1, Delirium, rare, and excellent green rare, and green has tons of fixing in the format, so you don't even have to be green-black at the core, but that's certainly where this is the best. You've got tons of self-mill and just graveyard shenanigans in the color pair to get to the Delirium for those insects that it makes. Pick 2 now. Spineseeker Centipede's a pretty high pick for green decks because it's gonna help them splash in like any random rares and stuff. We get to pick up whatever our colors end up being. Faithful and Fear of Lost Teeth can be fine. Faithful because we've got a lot of self-mill, so being able to reanimate something can be decent. Growing Dread, pretty decent if you're playing green-blue at the core and you want to do a lot of Manifest Dread nonsense, but that has been my least successful core color pair. I think I'd rather just grab the Centipede here and just get some good green fixing towards the Swarm Weaver. 5-color rare is also not completely unplayable because there's enough good fixing in green. You can splash it in, play a bunch of enchantments for it. So pick 3. Midnight Mayhem is quite strong in Boros decks. I didn't treat this as a particularly high pick early in the format, but I just keep dying to it. Because it just randomly sneaks in damage, wins any race against other aggro decks, and then leaves that wide board state behind to make it so even if your opponent has a few like really big blockers, you just trump attack with a few creatures so that all these other 1/1s on your board get through. And you can just make a couple attacks like that to end the game. So I think this is actually a really good way to end games, especially in multiple copies, because the second copy gives all of the initial copies gremlins the menace and the lifelink again. So this card has been really impressive, so I think I'm going to stay open and consider that as a possibility here, overtaking just like a Patchwork Beastie, which is fine self-mill, or Stay Hidden, Stay Silent, fine removal for green-blue at the core. I think this is just the best card in the pack. So I'm going to stay open to it here rather than just fully hopping in super committally to the Swarm Weaver deck. However, pick 4 looks like we're going to stick on the Swarm Weaver path, with the best options being another Spineseeker Centipede for fixing or a Vile Mutilator for a really good top-end creature. I think I just like the Centipede better. It's going to be more consistent. I love that it sets up our mana fixing while giving us a blocker to trade off with. The Vile Mutilator is like a really good reanimation target, particularly, because you do have to sacrifice something to cast this. But if you reanimate it, you don't have to sack anything. I think this is like really good in black-white. Just kind of decent in green-black. I'd rather get more centipedes. Pick 5. Now we can go ahead and take the Patchwork Beastie, probably. Fear of Exposure is really like a green-white card. It's good at getting your survival stuff going. But we are looking to get Delirium stuff going and self-mill in general. I guess if I take Machete, we can play it in our deck no matter what colors we end up in. So that'd be a nice open option. But I just do think the self-mill from the Beastie is good enough for Delirium to focus up on that. Pick 6 Beastie Beatdown could be a little bit of a sign for green-red Delirium. That's the aggressive version of a Delirium deck. 2 mana to have one of your creatures deal damage equal to its power to the opposing creature. But if you have Delirium, you also get 2 +1/+1 counters on that creature. This card is broken if you get Delirium on it. But still solid removal if you don't. Let's be open to the green-red Delirium aggro build, I suppose. Pick 7. We do have double Centipede and Moldering Gem, potentially, if I take this. And that could let me go like green-red aggro at the core, and still just splash in the Swarm Weaver anyway. Could be the path we take here in the end. Painter Studio Defaced Gallery is pretty solid and aggressive decks, so I could take that. I already have double Centipede. I kind of only need like one more piece of fixing, and Moldering Gem's a lot better in the slower, rampier green decks than in the more aggressive ones. I'll actually grab the Painter Studio Defaced Gallery here. Start converting over to aggro. We can. And here's our third centipede to kind of lock in all the fixing we needed. 2 mana 2/2 on curve. That is 2 cards for Delirium. 2 card types for Delirium. It's a pretty big deal for green-red aggro. I like that better than a 5-drop because we're trying to keep our curve low. Pick 10 Glassworks is beautiful. Very late removal and a good sign for red. Here's another Patchwork Beastie that mills us and fills that graveyard. And once we have Delirium, it's just a 1 mana 3/3 starting to beat down. Impossible Inferno is solid late game removal in green-red because you are going to have Delirium. It's going to kill a creature and draw a card by the time you cast it. We have a really excellent start now to green-red Delirium. If we can find some enchantment creatures and some Manifest Dread, that'll be beautiful. That way we have ways to get lands and enchantments into our grave by milling. And also enchantment creatures means we can trade enchantment creatures off to get our Delirium card types up as well. Alright, pack 2, pick 1. There's that Horde Caller. Beautiful card for the top end of any aggressive red deck. Red-green is no different. We'll absolutely play it. We'd be happy to wheel Turn Inside Out or Inferno, or even the Bleeding Woods would be solid here, since we are doing a little splashing. Could use some duels. Pack 2, pick 2. This looks like almost a complete miss. I could play the long neck to have an enchantment creature in this deck. I really don't love it though. 2 toughness, 3-drop. I'd almost rather just have incredibly good fixing for the Swarmweaver and grab a Razor Trap Gorge here. Ooh, pick 3 Chainsaw. Feels like a good color to be in here. This is like just an S+ tier rare. It's like a Scorching Dragonfire that can then equip to your creatures for like +5 or +6/+0. Because it starts off at like +1/+0 no matter what, and just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger as an equipment throughout the game. Really ridiculous card. It's also a removal spell that's an artifact. So if you randomly mill it, you're putting an artifact in your grave instead of an instant or sorcery, which can sometimes help Delirium. Card is wild. Super happy to see that. Now pick 4, we get a second copy of the Painter's Studio Defaced Gallery. If we get anything that sacks enchantments or creatures, we can absolutely run it here in the end. And at this point, we're just getting a ton of really good red. What if we still have Boros as a possibility? Green's really just here to get to the Swarmweaver. It's interesting. Get another Painter's Studio. The ticket booth would also be okay here, manifesting. Wow, pick 5, a second Horde Caller, but also a Brood Spinner. Jeez. At this point, we're really deep into red. I'm going to get the second Horde Caller and then a Scorching Dragonfire. These are some simple but fantastic picks for us. Now just a Razorkin. I suppose Bear Trap's not terrible when you care about Delirium, but we already have Chainsaw, Dragonfire, Beatdown, and Inferno, and Glassworks. We have better removal than that. Let's get a Razorkin. Pick 8. Here's a Flesh Burrower. We want to get more 2-drops here, get a more aggressive curve going, and that will help do that. Now a Bleeding Woods over a second Impossible Inferno, because I did just list a million removal spells, and these are going to go super late, and we can grab them at that point anyway if we really need more. Again, three 3-drops already. I could maybe take Inferno over the long neck, but I don't know. It'll be our only enchantment creature in the deck. That does help Delirium card types. Almost every single pick is ending up in the deck right now. Nice. Turn Inside Out is an awesome trick for an aggressive deck, helping us trade up into their big blockers and still spit out a 2/2 body. And while we're spitting out that 2/2 body, we're manifesting, which means that we're milling ourselves and getting more card types in grave for Delirium. Literally already have a perfectly reasonable 23 card deck here. I think the weakest part of this deck is the creature count is pretty low for an aggro deck. So we just want to find a bunch of good creatures in pack 3, and if so, we'll have a pretty perfect build here. Okay, well, I wanted more creatures, and Arena provided a mythic rare Tyvar the Pummeler. 3 mana, 3/3. As long as you have any other creature on tap, this is just always going to get indestructible. Makes it super hard to kill, and it's your mana sink that ends the game. Give your whole board +3/+3 at minimum till end of turn. You get to 10 mana, and there's no shot your opponent lives. Tyvar is wonderful here. Now another strong rare for an aggro deck, not quite on Tyvar's level, because it's a 4-drop that wants you to play more creatures afterward, but it makes every creature you draw for the rest of the game like really good. So instead of top decking a 2 mana 2/2 when you have Enduring Courage on board, you have a 2 mana 4/2 haste. It only gets the +2/+0 the turn you play it, but +2/+0 haste is a big boost, so Enduring Courage is still great. It's also an enchantment creature, so if we randomly mill it to a manifest card, that is 2 Delirium card types. So it just looks really nice here. Pack 3, pick 3. I still want to up our count of cheap cards here, like getting a hand that feeds into the deck to curve out more aggressively, especially with like 2 copies of Defaced Gallery here. So I think I'm going to take that, but I would also be really happy with 1 or 2 copies of the Boiler Builder's Ripper, because we have plenty of rooms to sacrifice to it in the late game and fill up our Delirium count. Pick 4. I'm probably not playing any of this. Certainly not quite a 7-drop kind of deck, like an Altenac deck. I don't want a third. I guess this is my second Inferno. Maybe I do. Violent Urge, when you have Delirium, +1/+0 double strike could randomly win. Maybe it's the Urge. Yeah, these are all a little iffy. Try out the Urge. Maybe we'll run that here today. Pick 5. Still looking for more good 2-drops, because I really don't want to play the Friendly Teddy, so I don't mind the Flesh Burrower. However, Chainsaw, Dragonfire, Beatdown, Inferno, Glassworks. That's probably enough removal. Monstrous Emergence is good removal, though, that we're passing up on to fit another 2-drop into the curve. So, could be wrong, but we'll see. Oh, no, we got a better 2-drop for the curve. I guess it was wrong, because we could have taken the Watchdog here, which is really good at fueling Delirium, because you get the Surveil 1 when you play it and when it dies. I think this is so good at fueling Delirium, it's even worth taking over Most Valuable Slayer, which is very good at getting damage in with first strike on your attackers. Pick 7. Here's another great Delirium fueling card. The Manifest Dread puts a sorcery in your grave no matter what. And since you're manifesting Dread, potentially even puts 2 more card types in. Alright, I guess we'll just get literally everything we ever wanted. I'll get the Monstrous Emergence anyway. And another Manifest Dread. I don't think we're playing 3 Defaced Gallery Painter Studios. But Jesus, this deck popping off. I could splash in a Brood Spinner. That'd be a late game play exclusively. 6 mana, basically. I don't think I'm doing that. I'm going to get another Manifest Dread. Now another hand that feeds. Rootwise Survivor, not bad either. But I'm getting curvy here. We wield the Boiler Builder's Ripper, and I will certainly play that. Horrid Vigor for an option. We need to make a lot of cuts here, so we're going to have to dance around with our card types here to try to get Delirium as consistently as possible. To make our Beastie Beatdown egregiously powerful, our Spineseeker Centipede super good, make the Swarm Weaver incredibly worth the splash. The Patchwork Beasties, make sure those get active as quickly as possible. It's going to be a lot of looking at the number of cards in each different card type when we get to the deck building. So, we get to cut 13 cards. We have way more than enough creatures right now. We have 9 artifacts, 5 enchantments, 5 instants, 4 sorceries. It's way more non-creature spells that I'm going to have room for. But looks like I can primarily cut artifacts first, and I already want to cut Bear Trap for sure, and Friendly Teddy. Maybe Attack in the Box, probably just because I have so many good cards. But Attack in the Box has cute little synergies where I can make it sack itself to have an artifact and creature in the grave if I really need to hit Delirium. That kind of stuff is pretty cute. So, yeah, first and foremost, definitely Bear Trap and Friendly Teddy can get right out of here. Pick up 11 cards. I guess I'm just gonna get the Attack in the Box out of here. If I put my Manifest Dread cards up top, okay, Turn Inside Out does not count for the creature count, but the double Manifest Dread do. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22 creatures. That's a lot. Cut like 5 of those and still have 17. I like all the 1-mana artifact creatures, especially the beasties. Those are super good at helping Delirium. And that feeds are good once we get Delirium, but until then, they're a 1 card type card if they end up in grave, and they're just a 2-mana 2/2 no text. Playmate is 2 card types for us. Burrower has Death Touch at least. However, Playmate, Double Manifest Dread, and Wary Watchdog are all our best 2-drops for fueling Delirium. Longneck is 2 card types for Delirium, but again, it's a 2 toughness 3-drop with really no beneficial abilities, mainly just a 4/2. I think the Centipedes are spectacular, as is the Tyvar. 4 mana and 5 mana, just in the interest of being lower curve and having less top end. Razorkin is the weakest of the 4-drops, considering the other 2 are powerful rares, and the Ripper is the weakest of the 5-drops, considering the other 2 are fantastic Razorkin Horde Callers. So these are the potential creatures to cut, and I want to cut at least 5 of them, and this pile contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards. So if I put 2 back into the deck, how do I want to do it here? Probably go low curve, just put a couple 2-drops back in. Let's meet in the middle here. We'll play 1 Flesh Burrower and 1 Hand that feeds. See how those play out. Cut the rest. So now 5 non-creature cards to cut. Oops. Let's redo that. Horde Vigor seems like pretty bad here. It's an okay little combat trick, but it's competing with such premium cards. Scorching Dragonfire, Beastie Beatdown, Chainsaw, Glassworks. These are all incredible removal spells. I mean, if I had to tier them in terms of how good they are, how good the non-creature spells are, probably a tier list something like this. Chainsaw, Dragonfire, Beatdown are in the S tier. And there's like Emergence, Glassworks, Double Painter Studio, still quite good. Inferno and Urge are probably good in this deck, but a little less consistent than these first 2 piles, and then Horde Vigor is kind of whatever. So if we do that for the cuts here, 5 cuts. Feels like I have to cut more non-creature cards than I thought here. Because I still cut 2 more. I only have got 5 non-creatures. I guess that makes sense if we're 17 creatures in the deck. I kind of want to just cut the Emergence the most. I'm only running 4 removal spells at that point. I can go like 16 creatures here and that's still fine. Oh, right, there's a Turn Inside Out I can cut as well. The efficiency on that is great. How are we doing on sorceries versus instants? Can I run like 2 of each? 2 sorceries, 2 instants. Yeah? Am I cutting another enchantment then? I actually ended up cutting a lot of my enchantments already though. So if I randomly manifest Dreadmill, not that likely to hit an enchantment anymore. Yeah, that's the problem here. 6 artifacts, 4 enchantments, 4 sorceries, 2 instants. All right. Hold up. We have 2 manifest dreads adding to the sorcery count engrave. So for a variety of card types, cutting a sorcery, monstrous emergence being worse than beatdown, would be the most beneficial. I could just like cut a land here. If I make it to 3 mana, I've got triple centipede. I have a lot to do with my mana in this deck though when I have 2 copies of Painter's Studio. Yeah, maybe I'm overvaluing it. The deck still looks really good with like 1 copy of Painter's Studio. Do that. Sure. It's like a really solid version. I probably only want 1 swamp. The only awkward part about having a single swamp in the deck is that if we manifest dread it, the centipedes can't get the black source for the Swarm Weaver anymore. So that could be a little awkward, but there's literally only 1 black spell in the deck, so I don't want to go overboard on swamps. I want to have plenty of our main colors, especially with double green cards and double red cards with kind of hefty mana restrictions. We're exactly even on green and red cards. So we'll try to go even on green and red sources. Which I guess we're at 8 red right now and 8 green, so we're already even on green and red sources. But I have triple centipede, so I guess we'll go slightly higher on green because the green can get the red if I have a centipede in hand. Alright, looks like a really wonderful deck. I'm super excited to see how this one does, so without further ado, let's hop into the gameplay. Alright, well, here we are for game 1. I don't have double green for Tyvar or double red for Enduring Courage, but I do have early removal and we're on the draw to give us more opportunities to find the right mana. This could be awkward for sure, but I'm gonna keep it. Well, I'm super glad I get to kill that role model immediately, but I'm not super glad to top deck 2 mountains in a row. That's not good. We needed 1 of those and 1 forest. Oh my god. The double rare in a row. Oh, and 3 red sources in a row. Sorry, Tyvar. We are playing 1 more green source than red sources in the deck, so at this point there's like 3 more red sources we could draw into than green sources. Actually, 4 more. There it is. I think I have to Courage now so that if I hit another green source, I can Tyvar and Beatdown in the same turn. But at this point, I'm also just flooding out because we've drawn 4 lands in a row. Things are really not looking good. And our opponent did not have their 4th land. Okay, well, they played after the grab the prize. Yikes. Yeah, our opponent went 2 mana bomb rare, 3 mana bomb rare. While we're flooding. Swarm Weaver is something. It's gonna have to be enough. It's kind of my only option here. I don't have the triple green to Tyvar and beat down. Nowhere near Delirium. If Swarm Weaver ends up in Grave, I'll be at 3 card types to Delirium. Just need 1 more to get Delirium on the beatdown. I think I'm on Swarm Weaver. There's a little bit of an argument for Tyvar here. I can slam down the 3/3 and then I'm guaranteed to be able to play Swarm Weaver and beat down next turn to be mana efficient there. Yikes, man. The Jolly Balloon Man plus Enduring Courage. So the balloons it makes are 3/1s? This is ridiculous. Probably just gonna have to non-delirium beat down soon, which is tragic. There's the exile removal for our indestructible card. See, it's like I'm playing plenty of rares as well, but they just have exile removal and exile removal for our rares. We had one piece removal, we had the Dragonfire for the for the 2-drop. It's just flood. And the fact that their removal exiles is really deadly for us. The fact that we exiled their 2/2 probably doesn't matter to Boros, like, at all. But them keeping us so far off Delirium here is devastating, because then the beatdown is just not big enough. It's not dealing 4 damage, it's not dealing 3 damage. To start chumping. Guess not quite yet. I probably should have been getting some damage in with these insects, since I haven't been blocking with them anyway. Could have done probably 6 to our opponent by now. Pretty safely. Chainsaw doesn't do anything to Enduring Courage. Man, I just realized that as well. Literally both of these rares play around non-exile removal. So not only were they shutting off Delirium, but they were killing them in the only ways that also shut off their abilities. Just an actually incredible matchup for our opponent. If I double removal the Balloon Man, they don't really have anything else on board at that point. I've got a 2/2, a 3/3, and a 3/2, but I've got blocks for those. Play around a Scorching Dragonfire and just deal 1 damage to this. Yeah, there's no like +1/+1 trick I can play around anyway. So at least this way, if they Scorching Dragonfire, I just lose a 1/1 flyer. Cool. Alright, well, I hate this position, but technically not quite dead right now. 3 power creature to be able to block Enduring Courage. Can double block the 3/2 with 2 1/1s and block the 2/2 with a 2/3. Well, they did have removal. The fact that they did not choose to use that to keep their Jolly Balloon Man around means we're probably just dead. Yeah, they're just using the treasure to kill us. Well, that was unstoppable. Almost nothing to really learn from that game. That was just magic, baby. Alright, here we are for game 2. On the draw again. Got the Centipede to find my second green with this hand. Oh, God. Opponent plays a 2-mana must-kill threat on the play, curving out with the Eerie deck. Yep, I don't have the removal this time. I've got the Tyvar again to not be castable turn 3. They just spit out another 1/1, which means they spit out 2 1/1s because Gremlin Tamer's ability. But that happens even if I chump there, because I can't get a kill. I think we just lose because we're on the draw. Genuinely. Not that we definitely win on the play, but wouldn't be completely unstoppable. Oh, this format, I swear. This format has some of the biggest blowouts of the entire year. Of just like, well, here you go. There is no game of Magic. It's over. We've been responsible for a lot of those ourselves, but man, games like this just are absolute non-starters. Game 3. Game 3 on the draw. At least our opponent had to take a mulligan on this one, so they are less likely to be in Magical Christmas Land like our first couple opponents. Alright, get the Beastie going. This might be our first game we can actually hit Delirium, because Beastie certainly puts in a lot of work for it. Our opponent's green-white survival on the play, but they don't have the 2-drop at least. They are not quite curving out here. But green-white survival is the deck with the highest to gain from being on the play. Getting your survival cards in. Super important. Dang, 1 card off from Delirium. Or 1 type off of Delirium. Almost got an attack in here. I have no no graveyard recursion. So a black source is like genuinely useless. So I just grab another green. Because I just milled the Swarm Weaver, so it's gone. Alright, Friendly Ghost. 2/4 turn 4. Come on, mill a land. What about you, Manifest Dread? Can you find us Delirium, please? Yes, it's going to be our only sorcery engraved, so it's Delirium no matter what. Beautiful. So I get to poke for 3. And I have real great attacks next turn. Ashful Beastie. No longer do I have real great attacks, because the Beastie is a real great blocker. Or 2 Menace gets that thing out of the way. Opens up a path for everybody else. They just have a 2/4 and a 2/2 now. Can flip up my face down and then next turn play Horde Caller and Percussionist, and both of those get the +2 buff. They both have natural haste as well, which is weird, so they already could have like jammed in. But the extra power is going to be relevant, especially on Percussionist. They can't just block with a 2/2. Balustrade Worm. 5 mana, 5/5 trample, haste can't be countered, and they can reanimate it from grave. winning the race here, or am I just trading a 3-3 into a 5-5? Just gonna try to win the race here. This might be extra bold, but I don't think they make that attack unless like this going into grave gives them delirium, in which case the trade is not that good. Math is certainly for blockers here, and our opponent's got to do a lot of it real quick. Figure out where their best blocks are going to be. Kill the centipede. That is so much damage they're choosing to take here. They're going to like 4 or something? They're going to 2? Alright. There's the concession. We have found a victory. Not going to be another 0-3 with a sweet looking deck. I was ready for it because I just recorded that other draft not too long ago now. If you've been watching all the videos, you've seen it by now. The green-blue 0-3. Really sweet looking deck. Super happy we didn't repeat that. Felt like it with those first 2 games because those were just completely unwinnable. But we do manage to turn things around here. We are at least 1-2 heading into game number 4. Ooh, here we go. I think this is our first game on the play. And it's a pretty wonderful start. I do hate the tap land here, though. The tap land is genuinely quite painful to our curve. I feel like I manifest Dread turn 2, and then I try to turn 3 Beastie plus hand that feeds. Beautiful, we can definitely Beastie plus hand that feeds. Later. Ooh. Also flip up another Beastie once I have Delirium. Make this a 3-3 for just 1 mana to flip it up. Oh, please have that 2 mana, 2 damage. Oh no! Well, that's a little bit of a blowout. Soak up their removal spell and keep the creature on the board. It's not going to be able to attack or block until we hit Delirium, but there's some cards in our deck we can mill 1 card and be there. Like that one, right? Oh, no! Oh, this is so gross. I guess they can double block Beastie here, but then they take 4 from hand that feeds. And I've got an Enduring Courage set up now. Oh my god. I mean, Beastie has accomplished its goal. We have hit Delirium off of it, so super fine to trade it off. Take it all, says opponent. Well, here's Enduring Courage. Orogenic Infection, force a stack here. Courage is really good for its ability. I generally think a 4-2 Menace is better than a 3-3 here. And I'll still have Enduring Courage's ability. Even if I don't have the 3-3 body anymore. That's awkward. Another 5-drop. But the beastie's good. Okay. The infection is actually really good here, because now they can trade off into this beastie with a 1-1. They've turned this into a 3-1, essentially. Still double block the other one, that's cool. They go down to 5. Dragonfire into Horde Caller should be a kill. Uh-oh. I don't like all that open mana. Not sure there's much I can do about it. Yeah, I mean, I've got one line here. Play a Watchdog, hold up a Dragonfire, so that's what we're doing. Playing the only available line. Goodbye, Tyvar, you're not a land. Tyvar has been the biggest underperformer today. Just keep playing him when we're already dead. Alright, opponent is dead even if I don't Dragonfire, but might as well. 2 and 2. That was also not much of a game of Magic. I don't think there's literally anything our opponent could have done. We lived in magical Christmas land that time. One player in each of these games just has all of their dreams and wishes come true, while the other player gets to sit there and be sad and do nothing. That's how Duskmourn's going today. Alright, I cannot keep a non-green hand. Okay. I need to hit a land here bad. We hit a Centipede. Swarmber's gonna be awesome, but this feels like the safest way to keep the hand here. As we watch me draw my only black source in the deck before my second green source. Get ready. Nope. I'll just draw no lands, which is also very bad. Well, Death Touching Percussionist is kind of gross. Time for Patchwork Beastie to earn its spot in the garbage bin. Let's mill exclusively lands and go 2-3. No! We're still definitely supposed to activate the Beastie Mill every single turn because the top card of our library is just as likely to be a non-land. Milling it would get us closer to the land in that case, to where milling is essentially not affecting our land ratio at all, our odds of drawing a land at all. But what it is affecting directly is our odds of getting to Delirium soon, so we have to sit here and keep milling here. It's just going to be awkward if the exact sequence of the cards is like land for Beastie to mill non-land, land for Beastie to mill non-land. But there's no way to know that. It could just as likely be like a bunch of non-lands for the Beastie to mill and then lands under those. We're just milling all lands. Tyvar plus Beastie's kind of nasty. Since the Beastie's not attacking or blocking anyway, it's just a free way to get the indestructible. Draw the cards off the Painter's Studio, says our opponent. But we've got a stable board for now. Well, not super stable against the Playmate, getting unblockable damage through. Might have to Glassworks the Playmate. The most valuable Slayer is certainly better in a vacuum, but I'm down to 12 already. And Playmate can make something unblockable and then buff it with the Gallery and then more. I am very surprised by this attack and also very okay with it. I'm going to lose one creature to kill both of theirs. Best cards, I swear. Goodbye, Chainsaw. My sweet friend. Alright, we save Glassworks to kill the Slayer. Definitely. Manifest Dread gives me the Playmate blocker. Manifest Dread could also get Patchwork Beastie attacking because I have no sorceries in grave. Yeah, that'll be Delirium. Courage is good, but we are not currently hitting lands, so I'm going to take a 3/3 over it. Just guaranteed 3/3 feels better. It's going to be a close game, which is terrifying here on 2 losses right now. There's that Slayer to kill with the Glassworks. That looks really, really good for me that that's their best play. Because it leads into some excellent counterattacks this turn. Even a forced chump. Ooh. I mean, we have the Glassworks here, but that's going to be insane with 4 creatures on board. They have to chump and take 7. I guess if they have the +3/+0 Manifest Dread trick, that's going to be kind of good for them here, but they don't. I think even if we, like, knew... If they had that in their hand and it was revealed, it would still be best to just attack with everybody. Because if I attack with everybody but the Percussionist, then they would just, like, block and kill a Beastie. Which is basically the same as Tyvar. Midnight Mayhem, that's not enough life gain, so they have to hold them as trumpers, and it's not enough holding them as trumpers because we have 4 attackers to their 3 blockers. Super close game of Magic, but we have rallied our way out of the 0-2 record. We are officially 3-2, getting at least a 50-50 run with this deck. Feels good, because I'm pretty happy with how we drafted, and I think the deck looks pretty strong, so I'm really happy to dig our way out of our loss streak this time around. All right, turn 1 Beastie on the play with the Manifest Dread to get that Delirium going real quick. Holding off on the Gorge here to where we're not going to be able to play Chainsaw till like turn 4, but that's probably fine in order to get really aggressive on the play and try to see if we can get Delirium going immediately. Okay, close, but no cigar. 3 out of 4 types for the Beastie. If we hit an artifact creature there, it would be insta-Delirium. There's a creature. We're at Delirium. They only have a 2/2 blocker here, but my only viable play is Chainsaw anyway, so I might as well rip that off the board. This also gives me a play next turn. I can just equip the Chainsaw to somebody. If I just like draw a land or something. Unwilling Vessel, hello there. So they probably have to just trade into Beastie here. Otherwise they go to 9. Yeah, I don't mind this trade. because we kill the vessel before it has the ability to spit anything out. This trade works fine too. Beastie's just as big as the face down. Actually, it's even bigger, especially if we put a chainsaw on it. Chainsaw's at 3 counters now. Ooh. Smoky Lounge, they're trying to do their room thing, but we are doing a lot of damage right now. Alright. Well, that's the best non-land thing I can... Oh no, they're at 13 or less! I'm dumb! Well, this is the same amount of damage this turn as playing a Horde Caller would have been, so I'm not punished that hard, but I would have also gotten a 1-1 if I just played Horde Caller. I totally forgot this was untapped at this point of the game because they took so much damage. It probably doesn't matter, but Horde Caller would have been a better play. Oh, block, block. If I do this, they can't kill Horde Caller if they want to eat the beastie without losing a creature. So I actually don't even mind, I'll attack. Keep the Horde Caller then. Draw a card for next turn. Get an even bigger chainsaw to put on my gremlins. The card's a good one, a Patchwork Beastie. Opponent is at 1. If a single 1-1 gets in for the rest of the game, we win. And because they're at 1, if we played Horde Caller instead, they would have been dead there. That would have been exact lethal. A little awkward, a little awkward. This could absolutely be wrong. But I want to get my max exile value here rather than just trying to cast one Horde Caller. Get as many creatures on board here as possible. For like the definite kill in the long run. They definitely have some kind of spell here. Let's see what it is. Because I'm going to have a lot of counterattackers. What's your spell? Is it just like a Scorching Dragonfire on my gremlin here? Pretty much. Yeah, so I've still got lethal coming. This is fine. They have 1 blocker against 3 attackers. 4 attackers, actually. And any attacker getting in is lethal. There's the concession from our opponents. 4 and 2. That's a 4-win streak. Rally now. Just keep it going. We are going to be leaving this event with pretty much as many gems as we paid to enter, no matter what. But if we can win just 1 more game from here, we're going to be in the money out of this draft. All right, here we are on the play. Little high on mana here, but we are starting things off turn 2 with the Manifest Dread, which is really good at fueling Delirium for anything we draw into. We've got the early removal with Glassworks, and the Horde Caller to top things off. Cool. Alright, I have officially drawn enough lands. No more lands for the rest of the game, please. Yeah, flipping a Swarmweaver up doesn't actually do anything. Because it doesn't give me the 1/1s, so Beastie is just straight up better. See if I can get a free kill here. Nope. Do I still hit for 3 instead of 2? Probably. I'm not going to Glassworks the Peeper, am I? Yeah. And then I can mill towards Delirium to have the Beastie still attack in the future. Probably playing Courage next turn, but we'll see if they play something that needs to get killed. Okay, if I mill a land, Beastie is ready to go. Come on, land. No! I already have an artifact creature in grave. Tragic. Ooh, Skull Crab. Well, Beastie's definitely going to be attacking then. No more self-mill for the rest of the game. They want to flip that thing up. Fear of Isolation. Pick up the Windbreaker to be able to recast it. That's pretty sweet. Beasties at Delirium. 2 mana up. It's like the 1 and a blue counter. If they have that, they can hold that up pretty much forever, because next turn they can spend 3 on Windbreaker and hold that up. I guess drawing the Flesh Burrower means I can double spell here. Yeah, and those are pretty considerable attacks. Because they don't have good blocks for the 3/3s at that point. Oh wow, this is not anywhere near as good for our opponent as they want it to be. Because I'm going to hasten a 4/2 now. Yeah, this is still so fine. Don't think it matters where I put the Flesh Burrower. Death Touch. Because they're just going to single block everybody anyway. Yeah, that was pretty fine. $20 cards left when it comes to mill. Swamp Cyclist, Natural. Drop land for turn, play Windbreaker. Play Clammy Prowler, have a 2/5 blocker. Well, it's pretty big, but not enough power to kill any of my stuff. So we jam. Chump block the 6 damage it is. They are down to 5. We are down to 17 cards in deck now. So we're at like 8 or 9 life, mill-wise, basically. Ooh. Mill 4, pick up their best creature in grave and put it back in hand. And mill me 3, which means they get to pick up the Fear of Isolation and then pick up the Overlord with the Fear of Isolation, then do that like indefinitely to mill me out? No. Not Fear of Isolation Overlord combo to mill me with the Skull Crab. Of all the things. Why am I like the only streamer that is consistently loses to Skull Crab? This is the worst. Like, unlosable for everybody else, but meanwhile, whenever I play against Skull Crab, Fractured Realm, Skull Crab, duplicate it, mill 30 in 1 turn, or Fear of Isolation, Overlord goes infinite and mills 6 each turn they do it. God dang it. And the flood means there's no way through this stuff. We just get milled. We straight up just get milled. We might barely kill them in time. They don't on board mill us out next turn. But there are several cards they could have that would do it. They can play another Skull Crab and then Overlord back the Fear of Isolation and then play the Fear of Isolation. That would be mill 12. Don't do it to me. We might not be milled. Oh, it's mill 2. Oh my god, I was freaking out for nothing. Why did I think it's 3? Hedron Crab must be 3, right? 3 for each landfall. I'm gonna look that up. I always get that mixed up. Yeah, it's because Hedron Crab and Ruin Crab mill 3 per land. Yeah, Hedron Crab and Ruin Crab. The other mill crabs, the other famous uncommon mill crabs, mill 3 per trigger, but this one mills 2 per trigger. Interesting. Okay, we're actually fine. However, if it was milling 3 per trigger, that might mean they would have milled me out now. Because they've triggered it enough times that this turn, it would have milled 2 more already between those 2 cards. Because they triggered it twice. And they played like a third enchantment here, that'd be a third card, I'd be down to 7. Yeah, if they triggered it 7 other times this game, that would have been enough. And I think they did. They were doing it at least like twice a turn. Very consistently. Yeah, if it was Ruin Crab or Hedron Crab levels, I think generally we would have been crabbed again. But it looks like that's not the case. They need a good 2-mana card here. Like a really good one. Because we only need to deal 2 damage here. Okay. Oh, let's go. That makes up for the flood. They were already done on board, but we'll play it super safe. And there's the concession from our opponent. Scary game, but luckily, Scrabbling Skull Crab is not quite as milly as Hedron Crab. So we managed to barely outlive the mill that time. We are 5-2. We started 0-2 and rallied all the way into the money, leaving with more gems than we paid to enter. Okay. Little floody hand, but Wary Watchdog can fend off extra lands for us. Playing against a red deck. There's a 4-drop for us. And that's a whole curve if we want to glasswork something next turn. Keep the centipede. And then I get to just play a creature every turn. go creature, 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 creature. Turn 1, 2, 3, 4. We are playing against Boros, but we're on the play here, which is great. Exercise my 1-drop. That feels profitable. For me. I could get another green source in case I hit Tyvar, but there's exactly 1 card in the deck that needs double green, and exactly 1 card in the deck that needs double black, and there's way more forests we can draw into, so I'm going to get the black source. Because if we hit Tyvar, we're so much more likely to naturally draw another green source than if I hit the insect spawner thing. We're not likely to naturally find the black mana for it. I could try to get the world's luckiest Manifest Dread and shove an artifact creature and an enchantment creature into the grave, but I think Enduring Courage is actually our only enchantment creature at this point. So I'm not going to try to delirium my extra 1 power on a centipede there. Yeah, we can't. Well, no, because Manifest Dread puts a sorcery in grave. I guess it's actually only fully milling 1 card, though. This turn's really good. This turn is actually lethal, isn't it? Our opponent didn't get to play magic. That's just how it is. 8 power on board, and we're going to haste out a 4/2. 12 damage. We have now gotten all the way to the final boss. We're 6-2 right now, getting to play a 9th game of Magic with this deck. The final game of Magic, win or lose. Okay. We're on the draw here, but Beastie into Manifest Dread can hit that Delirium very quick, which will also get some Menace attacks in with the hand that feeds. Depending on what we mill, we might play the hand that feeds before the Manifest Dread. If it looks like a guaranteed turn 3 Menace swing, that would be worth getting the Summoning Sickness out of there. Enchantment's a good type to mill. I guess worst case scenario, the 2/2 hits just as hard. So we should start with hand that feeds, I think. Because it's going to hit just as hard as if I Manifest Dread it anyway. Now if I get a good mill off of this and Manifest Dread, then it's the 4/2 and we're going. Bookworm from our opponent. Excellent card. They get to draw a card and discard a card every turn. At worst, potentially, they don't even have to discard if they are doing their own manifesting. Perfect. There's a creature. So here's a sorcery. If I can hit an artifact or an instant, then Manifest Dread gets us there. And this draw was great. Get to curve out here. Artifact or an instant. But I don't have a land either. A land works too. That's Delirium. Beautiful. Let's go. Opponent is down to 13 off of our turn 3 attack. Three mana 2/2 has arrived. Not a super good rate at helping protect them here, but it is going to fully draw them a card now, which is definitely valuable. Whew, that's a good draw. We'll see exactly what we want to do here, but turn inside out or flip up the face down are both going to be really good at ruining their blocks. Flip up the face down it is. Om nom 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 nom. Opponent is down to 3 life. every single one of our creatures hits for at least 3 damage, and that's the concession. So many non-games of Magic today. That's probably the big takeaway. Both of our losses nice and early, with literally nothing we could have done the whole time, and probably at least half our wins. There was literally nothing our opponent could do either, like that final game of Magic. Just dream curve outs today. Everyone got to play in Magical Christmas Land for some games. Luckily, we got to do so 7 times in a row to rally back from our 0-2 start. Super, super happy with how we drafted this. Started with that Swarm Weaver early, speculating towards like green-black Delirium and stuff, but stayed open to a more aggressive red deck. I mean, we even took the Boros card early, right? Yeah, the Midnight Mayhem. Just once again, staying open, finding the open color pair rewards us with a super sweet deck. And luckily, since we did stick green, and green was one of the more open color pairs, we had plenty of fixing to be able to still play our excellent Swarm Weaver. Now, Swarm Weaver was probably our biggest underperformer because I think we only got to cast it in the games that we lost anyway. So I still think it was right to splash it in when we had triple Centipede plus a Gorge. It's a pretty easy splash, but it was kind of the biggest underperformer here. And this is an archetype where the Centipedes are just great, even if you're just 2 colors, because we can hit that Delirium so well with the double Patchwork Beastie. Those were probably the biggest overperformer. These cards were incredible. These got active pretty quick. Like, quick enough to where they genuinely felt like just playing a 1-mana 3/3 a lot of the time, which was awesome. But part of that is having the right cards to really help get to the Delirium alongside it, so that like this can mill a card, and then Manifest Dread gets us 2 more card types by putting a sorcery in our grave and whatever it mills into the grave. Just think the synergy as a whole was the big overperformer here, but like Patchwork Beastie, the main part of that kind of synergy. Outside of that, of course, we had fantastic rares. Enduring Courage was winning us many games. Tyvar won us a game or 2. And Chainsaw was ridiculous in one of those games as well. Would have liked to see Chainsaw more often, but it's what it is. You can't always have it all. Super, super good deck here. 7-2, a fantastic run, and we get the maximum prize out of today's draft. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.